But welcome back to the show. Y'all already know what it is. It's the Back Porch Show with your man Fonz.
And Quan.
Listen, before we get into our topic for today, thank y'all for watching our last video on the NBA scandal. We saw the views creep up and everything, and we do appreciate that. But we will appreciate more if those views translate to subscribers. So y'all are watching, but y'all not subscribers. So please go ahead and subscribe to our channel and stay up on our content. With that out the way, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, brother. How you?
It's Wednesday. We hump day as they call it. But I guess we could go ahead and jump right into the topic. So a couple of weeks ago, it's early in the morning. It's probably about 5:30 in the morning. I'm just getting up, and I have I'm not. I ain't gonna call the radio app name because they're not paying us to mention them. So I had this radio app playing, and the guy up there by the name of Pat Boyle. He runs an overnight show
hmm
on this particular radio app. And he said, had a whole segment about it. I didn't get a chance to catch the segment. The thing that tickled my ear was that he said Jayden Daniels is basically the new RG3.
Mm.
But it makes sense. At first, I agreed. I was like, no. But then it makes sense. So consider this. So both of them had elite rookie production. They was both selected number 2 overall. RG3 in 2012 and Daniels in 2024, and provided immediate electric play as dual threats. Um, Daniels is on track to match or exceed many of RG3's rookie passing records. I think it's more close than what we think it is. And this is before we found out that he was done for the year. So I took my notes like last week. Both of them had the franchise savior narrative put on their shoulders. And of course, you had the cautionary tale narrative to come out against both of them. So, both now, while RG3 did not win a playoff game in his rookie year, we saw Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders reach the NFC Championship. Now, a lot of people put an asterisk beside that because they technically was not supposed to get past the Detroit Lions, but the Detroit Lions were hurt. And as I always say, you dance with the girl that you bought. So, what do you think about that? What do you think about the comparisons between RG3 and Jayden Daniels?
I don't like it. For one, RG3 had injury full before and during his. So in college, he had injuries as well. And when he got to the NFL, well, he had a concussion in 2012. He had a right LCL sprain at late 2012. Then he tore his right ACL, LCL, and a meniscus in the playoff game against the Seahawks in
Mm-hmm.
2013. And then he had a disc located left ankle week 2 of 2014. And then yeah, so RG3 was hurt all the time. And so yes, they have similarities as far as their early success, rookie of the year. They got injured. One got injured on the 4 yard line. I believe the other one got injured on the 2 yard line versus the same team, the same field after rookie of the year season. So, yes, they do have some comparisons in that alleyway, but I feel like this is Jayden Daniels early, the first major injury. Yes, I think he was just coming off a hamstring injury versus
Yeah,
the Seahawks, but this is his first like major injury. And I mean, I just don't like the comparison to say okay, RG3 career was ended early. He didn't play his fulfillment wasn't what it should have been from start to finish. And
there's,
so
there's
kind of
reasons behind that, but
there's many reasons behind it.
yeah,
But I mean, from so to say that about Jaden Daniels, a quarterback who if you look at the team last year, I feel like uplifted that entire roster. Um, won 2 playoff games. Broke many completion and what was it? It was completion percentage and rushing touchdowns or something like that. I got it in my notes. Hold on one second. But um and was acknowledged for his ability to perform under pressure with 12 fourth quarter or overtime touchdown, and 5 touchdown passes within 30 seconds. Again, he had 2 playoff wins on the doorstep of a Super Bowl appearance. Um, and so I think is yes, I could see the comparison in the two, but I think it's a little bit too early to say that he's going to be the next RG3. When you say that, I say, or I think of a career that's ending ahead of time, and not and it was already a narrative post to him being drafted that he put himself in harm's way. But I feel like this is more of a knock on Dan Quinn than it is Jayden Daniels, because the game was already decided. The fourth quarter with 7.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're down 31 points. Why do you have your starting quarterback, knowing that he just came back from a hamstring injury and you're getting blown out by Seattle? The game is already decided. You know you're losing. And why would you allow him to do an RPO? Why are we not running the ball? You're at the what? You're second and goal, you're at the 4 yard line. You should be handing off the ball. So I feel like this is more of a knock on Dan Quinn and whatever they had going on, because I don't understand why you have your starting quarterback playing when you're getting blown out. And it's not like y'all playing for anything. I mean, what, y'all 2-7 now?
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, and you kind of tiptoed into my point about the whole matter, but it's an indictment of Dan Quinn, yes, just like it was an indictment on Mike Shanahan back in 2012. If we all can remember correctly, RG3 was drafted, and then later on in that same draft, they drafted Kirk Cousins. The problem was Dan Snyder wanted RG3.
Mhm.
Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins. But Shanahan was not going to go against the boss at the time. Say what you want to say about Dan Snyder. Please put it in the comments below. We all know about that guy. So RG3 gets hurt. I mean, yeah, he dealt with some injuries in that season, but the major injury that derailed him for weeks at a time was that hit by Haloti Nada, where
Yeah.
his knee was hyperextended,
Right. Yeah.
and it's still ugly to this day. RG3 came back too soon.
Hmm.
He came back too soon. In so many words, Mike Shanahan was like, all right, go ahead, do it. To
Yeah.
me, I felt like that was sabotage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward to now with the Jayden Daniels, like you said, that all of that is an indictment of Dan Quinn. Again, the same head coach dynamic. Now, I'm not saying that Dan Quinn feel the same way about Jayden Daniels as he does with as Mike Shanahan did with RG3. No, I'm not saying that. But like you said, y'all are getting blown out of the DMV. Why are y'all keeping Jayden Daniels in that game?
I mean, injuries is a part of the game. I
It's
mean,
always going to be.
what it is. The good thing about this situation is it wasn't on his throwing arm.
Yeah,
So and if they somehow keep the season alive, he may come back early, but that's his wishes. But I mean, honestly, I wouldn't.
I would
But
not either.
but yeah, man. I mean, you're getting blown out. Why do you have Jaden Daniels still in the game? The game is over. Y'all obviously could not do nothing that entire game. And
No.
so I just don't know. But the whole RG3 Jaden Daniel thing, yes, like I said, I admit there is obvious comparisons as far as early success in those career, but as far as to say that he's going to be the next Jaden Daniels is, I feel like it's a shot at Jaden Daniels, and I don't like it. I just
Yeah.
don't. I mean, until he shows me that he can't stay healthy, and this narrative that he had posted him, before him getting drafted, that he puts himself in harm's way, it'll be a different story. But for his first major injury, I don't think so. Like I
Yeah.
said, RG3 had injuries prior to him being drafted and during his career tenure in the NFL. This is not that. That's not that. I don't think.
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's not that extreme. I don't know why Pat Boyle even put Jayden Daniels and RG3 in the same sentence to begin with, because it's two different dynamics, two different eras, two different occasions, even down to the ownership of the team. Like it's not what it used to be.
This seems.
But
I'm sorry to cut you off.
go ahead.
This seems to be a repeating thing that's going on in Washington, that they just need to burn their field down because Alex Smith suffered an injury too, and that's at
Yeah,
the stadium. I mean, it's funny how the certain. I was telling my homeboy the other day, like, it's like with the Bills beating the Chiefs. I was like, yo, it's no way that the Bills continue to have success against the Chiefs in the regular season and lose to them in the playoffs. Those type of narratives, like, just so happen that Jayden Daniels get hurt versus the same team almost on the same yard line as RG3, over 10 plus years ago. Like, it's
yeah,
crazy how things happen like that. But I think it's just a little too extreme to put that narrative on Jayden Daniels. I don't.
yeah. Honestly, I feel like Jayden Daniels is light years ahead of RG3.
Now, don't get me wrong. Now,
RG3 could ball that first year. Now that first year was special,
you know,
but I feel like Jayden Daniels is a few steps ahead of RG3 as far as playing the quarterback position.
yeah. Now, this year, I think Commanders have been off. I don't think nobody expected them to be the way that they are the season that they had last year. Everybody was talking about, the sophomore slump that Daniels might slip into, and I think he sort of kind of slept into it.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of compartments that go into the slump, though. I mean, the Terry holdout, he was not where he should be. Just a lot. It's
and
been a weird year for the
and
Commanders.
he still ain't where he should be, from what I heard.
And so I don't know. The momentum has shifted in Washington some from last year to this year, but they're still a young team, and I still think highly of Jayden Daniels, and
Yeah,
hopefully, I have seen him run a lot of RPO. Now, I will say that, but he's a successful runner. Even if you want to go as far as comparing the rushing yards between RG3 and doggone Jayden Daniels, I think he got like 105 less carries than RG3 with 8 touchdowns, and he's just under about 650 yards less. I think RG3 had like 1,800 rushing
yeah,
yards with 10 touchdowns, and Jayden Daniels is at 1,100, a little over 1,100 with 8 touchdowns and 105 less carries. I mean, so I think he's talented in that area. Now, I mean, I feel like if you're gonna be a quarterback that is gonna be running out of pocket, you need to get in the weight room, need to eat some protein, because I mean, just falling awkwardly like that caused such a season injury. Now that could have happened to anybody, but I'm just saying
yeah.
I would want my quarterback to look like doggone Josh Allen if he's gonna go out there and run and could be tackled, by linebackers or DNs or somebody. You need to put on some weight. No, not to the
Yeah,
point where you can't run, but yeah. So, but yeah, I don't like that narrative. I really don't.
yeah. But in the comments, let us know what y'all think about that narrative. Do you think Pat Boyle was just blowing smoke out of his head, or does his point make a little sense? Let us know.